But before I got sober, I got shot at in Jersey City.
Was that your first million in 2008?
Yeah.
That was in a time of crisis, financial crisis for America. What was that like?
But Nick, you are asking phenomenal questions. I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm a recovering alcoholic. There will be like duffel bags of like marijuana. You can't make any of this. I said, I'm either going to make money or, die in a bar stool. Basically teach people how to go from a scarcity to an abundant money mindset. And that comes down to understanding. Alexa made 40,000 last year. She's on pace to make over 250 this year. She's an example of many people, not just her, that have come through these doors and have had ultra success because of the power of. That's our secret sauce, and that's what's separating us from everybody else.
What I'm hearing is like you liked life insurance more than selling stocks, and so you're more passionate because it was a better product you felt?
I think I'm destined to bring something to the industry that's never been seen before.
Like if you could go back 10, 15 years and mentor yourself and say, hey, do this, don't do this.
Why are you asking questions that I ask people? You know what it comes down to, Nick? I would become best friends with you. Who's my top 5? Who are people that have what I don't have? Who are people that are going to force me to level up?
Like if there's one way the sales industry takes advantage of AI, that is the first and foremost.
I was like, do you share your information? She says, everyone can copy me. They still don't have my sauce. I'm like, all right, so my new name is Hot Sauce. You heard it from Nick Sales, everybody.
What's up, guys? We are live here with Mr. Rob Gill, the CEO and founder of Epic Financial. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Nick. How you doing? Thank you so much for being here. Super excited. Anytime I get to spend time with you is always an uplifting experience. I'm ready to go.
Dude, you are a machine. So first of all, I want to hit on some of the stats here. So Rob's got over 170,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram. Rob and I know each other through Chris Crone. Rob speaks at almost every Unleash Your Financial Destiny event with Chris. And Rob is a master of financial services. Okay, Rob, give him a quick intro on what you do.
Yeah, so what we do is we basically teach people how to go from a scarcity to an abundant money mindset. And that comes down to understanding, and I'll keep it as simple as I can, the advantages and disadvantages of different financial products that are out there, how it pertains to them in any age group, whether you're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whether you're married or single, divorce, whatever the case may be. But it comes down to understanding the importance of having the right hand speak to the left hand. In other words, the insurance agent, trust officer, accountant, fiduciary, all on the same page for the benefit of the investing client's difference. It can't be about the planner. It has to be about the client.
I love it. And for the audience here, so Rob, you've made over 7 figures every year since 2008.
Yes.
And personally have done over 25 million in sales, right?
25 to 30 million.
20. Okay.
Since 08.
And then you're part of the President's Club, you're part of the Chairman's Club, and the $1 Million Roundtable. Yeah,
so anyone that's in the insurance business, each carrier has a different trophy, but whether it's the president's, whether it's the chairman's, whether it's MDRT, I've hit the top of every single one of them consecutively since 2008.
I love it. And then you are CEO and founder of Epic Financial, which Alexa was telling me is worth around 27 million.
Epic Insurance Services.
Epic Insurance,
yeah. And that's my partners with Chris and Sean.
Love it. And then you're also a proud owner of the fastest growing basketball team out in Jersey.
We are lucky enough to be part of, we put together Epic Elite AAU, and it's the fastest growing independent AAU basketball program in history.
Look at that.
In New Jersey.
Rob,
New Jersey.
I love it. I'm a big basketball guy. I don't know if you knew this about me, dude. I love basketball, dude.
I did not know that.
So I wasn't good enough for the high school team, but I went to school at BYU, Idaho, okay? So we didn't have D1. I made that team, and the coach put me on the team. He's like, Nick, we're not putting you on the team because you're talented. We're putting you on the team because you're an animal.
Yeah, so what position did you play?
Defense. No, dude, I played shooting guard.
So you were two guard.
Yeah. No, but I love basketball. I'm decent, but yeah.
So for me, I had the good fortune of growing up in really basketball royalty. My sister Kathy married this dude, Tim Hurley from Jersey City, whose brother is Bob Hurley. Bob Hurley's the 50-year retired coach of St. Anthony's High School basketball, who has 2 sons, Bobby Jr., my age, who went to Duke and won 2 national championships, and Danny, who coaches UConn, who just won a national championship. Bob Sr. is in the Hall of Fame. He's got 27 state championships, 5 mythical national championships, 142 Division I basketball players, as well as I think 6 or 7 of his kids made it in the first round of the NBA.
That's amazing.
So when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, I had no idea that I was around royalty other than the standard was up here. And I was an average basketball player that proximity. I was able to play with these guys. And just think of it like with your congruency with sales. Imagine if you're in a talent pool, right, but you don't know the congruency side. But just by being in that talent pool, you were pretty good. So because of that, I played Division III basketball, and I was third team All-County in Jersey City, St. Peter's Prep in 1989.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I love it. Mr. Gill.
Yeah. Back then, I was a lot thinner. I was 6'1", 155.
It goes without saying, brother. You
Yeah.
still look good.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, Rob, no, I admire the balance and the effort in areas outside of business like that. And I know you've got a good heart. We've spent a lot of time together in Jersey when we flew out with Chris.
I remember.
And just you're a man that is respectful, not just in business, but in life. And so I'm honored to have the time with you.
Appreciate
Have
it.
you on the
Appreciate
cast.
this opportunity, Nick. Looking forward. How did you have that event? Aren't you having an event in October?
We're having it next year.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Launching SalesCon next year.
Yeah,
Yep.
can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're excited. Okay, so Rob, I want to dive into a lot of things here, but first and foremost, what do reps, like sales reps coming into insurance, the insurance industry, what does a typical first year make? Just to put things in perspective.
So let me answer it this way. In the insurance industry, they have an archaic model of sales. In other words, it goes back to the 50s, and it's like, hey, if I'm going to recruit Alexa, she's a college graduate, and she has connective tissue in the Latina market, and her parents are, successful in that place. I'm going to bring her on. This is not who we are, but this is the traditional version, and say, okay, let's have a dinner for you and congratulate you. You're now part of Epic, and invite all your family and friends. And on the end of that night, after she's celebrated as who she is or any other agent that's out there, all of a sudden there'll be 20, 30 appointments set up for her, and let's call it a sales manager that would go on the cases with her and take her through that process. And what happens is the agent in year one, because the commission is so high, they make a lot of short money, right? Fast and short, but they don't learn how to sell. Because really what's happening is they're just catering. That's how she actually got in the business. She went to her cousin who was at Primerica. They celebrated him, and she decided to leave, go into medical school, and to become into the financial services industry. So that model works because what happens is it doesn't work for 99% of the agents, but it works for the mothership because once Alexa's 30 clients come our way, and 2 years later when Alexa can't close the door, those clients are still with the insurance company, and on average, I think there's a statistic out there that each client over their lifespan buys on average 6 products, and the insurance carriers know that. So I'll answer your question. So within 5 years, 95% of Alexas fail, right? What we've discovered is in the insurance game, I think there's like 150 to 200,000, let's call it, licensed whole life IUL salespeople in the country. And a lot of them are educated about product, right? A lot of them are educated about, why somebody should do it, but they don't know how to set up their own meetings. And because they don't know how to set up their own meetings, they have commission breath, because what happens is if there's no salary, it takes 90 days or 120 days to get approved. And all of a sudden the case may get approved and you don't get it. Or someone you thought that was going to get approved doesn't get approved, and now all of a sudden the money gets tight, so the mindset gets screwed. As a result of that, as I became partners with Crone, he showed me the gift of social media, and what happened was I discovered pretty fast that I want to do something that no one else will do. There's not one insurance agency that's going to give their leads away for free. So let's say, Nick, you're in the game and you never made more than 50 to 100 grand because you really struggled at setting up your own appointments. Now all of a sudden I'm going to guarantee you 50 appointments. So you're going to get 50 reps every month and get better and better and better because you already know the product. You just now have to learn how to anticipate no's a lot faster. And because of that, every agent, which I didn't recruit one, that has come here. I mean, I had guys that were making 60, 80 grand a year that consecutively making over $400,000. Alexa made 30,000. I want to say 40,000 last year. She's on pace to make over 250 this year. She's an example of many people, not just her, that have come through these doors and have had ultra success because of the power of reps. And reps are consistent people that come in that want to hear the good message about cash value life insurance. That's our secret sauce, and that's what's separating us from everybody else.
So you guys get people the reps faster.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you say their top problem is getting leads?
The biggest challenge for any rep, once they've exhausted their natural market, is to get consistent appointments. So if you can't get a consistent 50 meetings a month, like for 5, 6, and then even thereafter, eventually that well is going to dry up. And then you know what it is about momentum. I mean, think about yourself.
Yep.
If you lose momentum, it takes a while to get that back.
It's everything. It's everything, Rob. So I'm in the solar and door-to-door space, as you know, and momentum is very hot for 4 to 5 months out of the year.
Yes.
Depending on the market, right? And so we are in the same process right now of expanding our lead generating systems from online ClickFunnels, from Facebook ads, and mastering that whole process. So do you guys do everything in-house, Rob, with your lead generation, or do you subcontract out, or what?
So I, obviously watching Crohn's World, and I learned how to do that. We now do our own leads. We have our own Facebook ads, Instagram ads. We're now going to do a massive uplift in our YouTube channel, while we still do what we do with Crohn and other people. But I think that we want to now control our lead flow in a way that if I get a Crohn lead, I get a piece of the market share that's like 3 or 4%. They've already bought something. We're now creating our own first buy-in. And
So,
by the way, it's all about leads for agents. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's how many,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So that's what it comes down to.
What's your framework for let's talk about calendar and scheduling for sales reps and their success. Like, what do you want their calendar to look like day to day, week to week?
Well, I think so. Our process from Hello to Yes is 6 calls, right? So we know we need at least 50 call ones every month, right? Now, call 2 to call 3 leads to medicals. Call 3 to call 4 leads to the Epic Wealth Builder, which is a personal financial website that we give every client that's in underwriting for free. It puts all their financial institutions on one landing page. And then during that process, it's answering any questions, doing cash flow analysis. So every day should be packed with call 1 through call 6s on a daily basis.
Call 1 through call 6, you said?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like today, somebody could be finalizing a deal. That would be call 6. But at the same
So that's
time,
typically a six-step process to close a deal?
Typically.
Okay.
I mean, if it's me, I could do it a lot faster. But if I'm training folks, I keep it real simple. So I want to be able to kind of distill it and do it in bite size.
Do you have your top closers hit all those appointments, or do they just do the intro ones, or do they just do the final one, or how do you structure that?
Eventually I'm going to have one of my folks be able to do that. Right now, even the folks that make 300 or 400 grand, well, one guy actually he just jumps on and assists, and he's been doing well with it. But eventually I'd like to be able to have what you just said. We're not there yet, but we can be as our lead flow increases. So once the lead flow increases, then I could bring on another 5 or 10 agents whenever I want, because they're always looking for what I have. They just got to go through our training and everything else. And then the folks that are doing really well here, they could be what you just said.
What percent of your leads do you say come from like Facebook ads or organic social media like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube?
It's funny. Once again, we just started, literally just started the ads about 8 weeks ago, and we've gotten over 2,000, right? Organically, though, we get about 500 or 250 every month, right?
Wow.
So because the organic side has been going for about 24 months now.
Okay.
So it's both, but if I have an event on October 19th, if anyone's watching this, I'd love for them, and we could create a link for you, Nick, if you want, that would separate
Absolutely.
your leads. I'll have Alexa work on that right now. But we're having a live virtual event October 19th, and we're going to talk about the mindset before you make the money, and then how do you keep the money, right? And to your point, on my Facebook ads, we've already had over 250 people register in about 3 weeks, right?
Wow.
We want to get that over 1,000, but I also have partners like David Melcher that'll do an email campaign, Crone that'll do an email campaign, some other folks you don't know from this area that'll do email campaigns. Plus, during this time, our emails went from 4,000 to 35,000 in the last 18 months.
Wow. Email campaign's a big thing, part of the business. Rob?
No, that the email marketing is incredible.
It's your scapegoat from Zuckerberg, huh?
Yeah.
That's the way I look.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a way that, I could do an email right now and say, and for a free consultation, click the link here and we'll get 15 appointments.
Okay, so backing up to about 2007, before you made your first, was that your first million in 2008?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was in a time of crisis, financial crisis for America. What was that like?
Yeah. So it's a great question, Nick. You are asking phenomenal questions. If I go back to like even 10 years before that, would that be okay?
Yes, please. That you see what I'm trying to get to. Like,
Yeah.
give us. How did you get from point A, Rob, to point Z?
Yeah. So what's interesting is I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I got sober in 1996. But before I got sober, I got shot at in Jersey City. I started drinking my senior year of high school, so let's call that 1989. And I go to play college basketball. By the second year, I'm starting, but I failed off the team. So I'm in 4 years of college, and I'm just partying my ass off and not going to class. And I was really good at Nintendo and really good at smoking weed. And if anyone remembers Nintendo, double dribble, I used to dominate double dribble in every video game contest in my suite. There would be like duffel bags of like marijuana. You know what I mean? Like it was just the craziest scene. And, I go back to Bayonne 4 years later, not graduating college, 65 credits, I think, like a 1.6 GPA. And now I'm landscaping, bartending, and I forget what else. I had some other job I was doing, and I get arrested twice within 12 months for cocaine possession. Now, my dad was a police officer, so that was like a painful moment for me because I embarrassed my family, right? Without pain, usually that's when you have to kind of make that shift when the pain becomes great enough. And if you fast forward even earlier, I had a sister that when I was 8, she was a full-blown heroin addict when she was 16, and she wound up getting sober for a time, and I remember what AA was because of her, right? So now I'm in college. I would tell people I'm destined for rehab, and I was going to be like a blue-chip AA person. I was doing AA a favor when I showed up at the door. Like, you don't go to AA with a marching band. You go there because your life's on, Like, I'm sure my life expectancy right before I got sober was about 12 months. You know what I mean?
Good gosh, Rob.
So I get sober, and I go to rehab, and a buddy of mine, right out of rehab, says, "Hey, you want a job on Wall Street?" And I was like, "Sure." And because I thought you had to graduate college. He goes, No, to get your Series 7, you don't need a degree. So I was like, great. And I said, well, how much do I make? He goes, $200 a week, and you got to work from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. And I had there was nothing else in my life, right?
Yeah.
So, and during this time, I start going to AA meetings, and there's a gentleman there that basically said to me that I have to read steps 1, 2, and 3 on my trip to the city every day. So, which is from Bayonne to New York City is 12 miles, but it'd be about an hour each way. So my first year in the business, the guy that got me a job went to prison within 6 months for arson, just a little sidebar. Like 15 years later, he was asking me, because I started doing good, he wanted a piece of like what I was making.
Yeah. Classic.
You can't make any of this.
Crazy.
So I'm in Wall Street. I finally passed my Series 7, and that's the day I got sober. Because that night I went out, I partied. Next day I was late for work, and the only thing that's I said, I'm either going to make money or die in a bar stool. So I started working AA. 1996, I made 12 grand. 97, 28. 98, 42. 99, 75. 2000, which was interesting, I made 135. But what's interesting about 2000 is that was the internet stocks. And every dollar I made was selling internet stocks, and then I invested in internet stocks. Both kind of went south for the winter in that year. So I lost everything I had kind of made, but that's when I decided that I was going to be good in sales. And I went from, I want to say, opening like 10 accounts a month to 60 a month. Because I crafted a presentation, and that presentation began to anticipate no's real fast. So I'll give you the math. If I made 400 dials a day, 90 people would pick up the phone, of which in the first 7 seconds I would get 90 down to 30. If you survive the first 7 seconds, you're now at that 30, and I would take them through 3 to 4 different asks to buy the stock, or so people use the word closes. Of those 30, 3 would say yes. So I wound up opening 3,000 accounts in 6 years, but I trained people to do the same thing. And I started from 2000 all the way up to 2007. Before I started doing insurance, I went from basically making 100 to over 350, right? By the time I got to 7, insurance came on the scene. And then I took all of the stuff that when it came to opening new accounts over the phone, I started doing go-to-meeting, and I started talking about life insurance. And I went like year one, I went from 300 to a million that fast.
Crazy.
What's interesting though, think of Ed Milet, think of early Tony Robbins, and I stayed sober, but I couldn't survive the financial success, Nick. I was like late for meetings, gold chains, 7-bedroom houses, all kinds of like just craziness. And I wasn't building, I wasn't recruiting. And, I started making $1 million a year, and I got into a massive business disruption in 2012 that went all the way through to 2015, made me rethink about a lot of different things. But that's when I read Tony Robbins' book, Money Masters of the Game.
Yeah.
And if you remember anything about that book, the one thing that, first of all, the education was incredible, but what stood out the most was that book was giving direct leads to creative planning, which was an RIA, a registered investment advisory. And I said, I'm going to go to Tony Robbins' event, and I'm going to become his insurance guy. I go to the event, 18,000 people. I said, there's no way I'm going to be his insurance guy. But I started to learn, right? And as I learned the game, I meet Sean Callaghy, and Sean, although reminds me of Tony in many ways on how his grasp of everything, it wasn't until he introduced me to Chris Crone that tied it all together, because what I wanted to do with Tony was exactly what me and Chris were able to do together. And it was from his stage that he talked about the power of life insurance, because he loved it, and began to introduce me. So
was Chris was already pitching life insurance prior to you coming in at his events?
Yeah, but not with me.
But not with you.
I don't know his prior relationships, but I think that they didn't work out the way he thought they would. And if we were going to do it, we had to do it the right way. So, a lot of different legal things and legal letters, and we were able to kind of put the business together the right way. And what was interesting is not only from his stage, but YouTube leads as well. So, I'm starting to notice that, wait a minute, like we're getting 20, 30 appointments a month just from a YouTube video, right?
Right.
So for me, not having the right capital at that point, I was like, all right, I want to just model this so I could do the same thing and not only keep doing what I'm doing with Sean and Chris, but also create other ecosystems that allow us to win, right? So all that being said and done, it kind of took me on that path. And when you go from really 2020 until now, the growth has been astronomical, because what I've learned is everything that I've learned with Chris and taking on that partnership, which is great, I can now model that here at Epic while still maintaining that. And that's the key.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's part of what him and Robbins preach is mimic, model, master.
Yep.
So what year did you and Crone start working together like that, in that regard?
I'd say late 19, early
Okay.
20, but then COVID hit. I would say it really began to take a different turn midway through 21.
Nice. And then you guys do you go to all the events every quarter with Crone, or is it semi-annual, or what?
I try to. There's been a slowdown this year. Obviously there's an event coming up. There wasn't one in the summer. I think the last time we were there had to be in March.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah. I think I met you when I was at the last one, or maybe the one before that. I forget.
I think the one before that,
Yeah.
Yep. I love it, Rob.
Yeah, man.
I love it. Okay, so that transition, you kind of brought it up quickly, of going from like 400K to $1 million, and you weren't ready to handle that success. I love that. I mean, we could deep dive on that. But what, other than like starting to sell something, like you started selling life insurance. Prior, you were selling what?
Well, we were opening new accounts on stocks. So I had an OSJ, which was a branch office of a broker-dealer, and all I was ever taught and knew was how to open up new accounts on the stock and trade the stock. But the reason why I love life insurance so much is because it has guarantees that the stock market didn't have. And the last thing I want to do is trade stocks. I have no interest in that. So as I began to do the life insurance presentation, I noticed that people were like, hey, and they never said this when we just did individual stocks, but the life insurance presentation was so powerful, they would say, hey, can you guys manage this IRA? And we were like, yeah, but then I realized the team I had then couldn't handle that. They weren't professionals in the space of asset diversification within amongst asset classes. So by the time I got into 15, 16, 17, I eventually decided to drop my 7 because I wanted to do videos. It's a lot different compliance-wise if you do videos on how to what fund you tell someone to buy versus educational videos on life insurance. So my wife owns the RIA down the hall. I have nothing to do with it. Right here is Epic Insurance. This is my baby. And we opened up the RIA, which is Registered Investment Advisory, no different, just so you know, than like creative planning, except they're a monster and we're just a brand new thing, in case anyone on the insurance side wanted to sit down and get wealth management. So we have both sides.
How much of that, like changing, like starting to sell life insurance, do you think it was a passion thing? It sounds like for what I'm hearing is like a big thing was like you liked life insurance more than selling stocks, and so you're more passionate because it was a better product you felt?
I think that I was destined to do what I do. I think I was destined to do what you're seeing right now. I think I'm destined to flip the sales model on its head. I think I'm destined to bring something to the industry that's never been seen before. You see a lot of people talk about becoming your own bank, but they don't have a sales team behind them. They just want to be able to get big clients, but they don't really focus on like getting 2, 3, 4, 5,000 leads a month and creating that. And there's some people that do it, but they're not talking about becoming your own bank. You could see the ones that are doing it more quietly. And unless you're in the business, you might not notice that. They'll be connected to IMOs or family offices. That would be like the next elevation point for us. But I could just sit here and say, okay, if we get 5,000 leads a month, that equals 125 agents. And I could just show you how that equals 100 million in revenues. It's not that challenging once you have that.
I love it.
That connection.
Yeah. Rob, what were some of the biggest lessons learned? Like if you could go back 10, 15 years and mentor yourself and say, hey, do this, don't do this.
Yo, why are you asking questions that I ask people? I love it. You know what it comes down to, Nick? I would become best friends with you. Who's my top 5? Who are people that have what I don't have? Who are people that are doing what I'm not doing? Who are people that are going to force me to level up? Who are people that I'm going to respect their act? Because I can't, and I'm sure you're the same way, brother. If you see somebody that talks a good game, but their action doesn't match it, it must be hard. I can't be around that. It's like, you know, if somebody says, hey, do this, and this, but they're not doing it, or they never did it, by the way, that's hard for me. So if I go back 15 years, I would get with a top 5 real fast. Just like if I was 35 and I was talking to my 20-year-old, that's exactly who's your top 5. Like, you know, who are the 5 people that are going to make you better? And I think that's the biggest thing. And I say that to anybody to this day.
Would you try to pick out people within your industry or kind of branch out depending on the skills you need?
So what year is it right now? I would call Gary V. In 2008, he wasn't popular yet, right? Although he was doing the wine thing on YouTube. He lived in Jersey. It's not far from me. The way I got with Chris and Sean back then, I could have got with him. As a matter of fact, I had to sit down with him this year. But if I would have went after him 15 years ago, that would have been easy. It's over.
Yeah.
Done.
That's crazy. Crazy when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
What about some of the biggest things you would avoid, Rob? Like maybe a big mistake you made, or you've seen other people make in business or in sales, or trying to grow a business or grow their own sales team.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Going too
what
fast.
Big mistakes?
Codependency and going too fast. 2 things. The third thing was have a team around me that are professional as far as accountants, lawyers, sales managers, and trainers, and make sure that I trust. So usually when you're an entrepreneur, you're on the come up, you're starting it with people that you grew up with or you know, and you could be the star and they may not be that person and they think that they're part of this going forward. I would make sure that there was a level of professionalism around me much more different than the way I had it back then.
I love that. Okay, so you said codependency?
Yeah, like you like somebody a lot, so you keep them around even though they're bullshitting you and their results are suboptimal, and they hit you with complete confusion.
What's your process? Do you have an SOP for getting rid of those people, or do you just cut them out, or what?
I've just been cutting them out left and right recently.
I'm kind of the same way. I respect that.
Yeah.
Okay, you said codependency, and then what was the other thing you mentioned?
Listen, you want the right accountant, you know the right accountant, the right law firm. You want to create the right agreements, right? You want to have in your agreements that it's got to be clear. It can't be fake confusion. It can't be too many gray areas, and you have to take the time to do that. It's a pain in the ass, but if you do that, then you'll prevent any kind of challenges later on.
I like it. Gives you more leverage, makes things easier.
Yeah.
So you recommend subcontracting those out, obviously, for most entrepreneur salespeople.
Yes.
Or early entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Yeah. At least initially. And be careful, like, listen, you're on the come up and you might have family or friends that are with you. That becomes a little complicated. So you got to be careful. 2 or 3 buddies put something together. All of a sudden their wives and girlfriends have different opinions, right? Someone thinks that you're working harder than the other one. And what is it? Can you have that in a contract? Can you validate what that looks like? Can you actually be able to explain that? What if somebody has to get bought out? What if someone's not pulling their own weight? What does all that look like?
I like that, Rob. That's solid advice. Okay, random question here. Kind of jump in. As far as income for your industry, from what you've seen, what would you say the average earnings for a sales rep is?
I think an average one would be less than 100. I think a good one would be between like 150 and 250. I think a great one would be 5, and I think top of the food chain would be in the millions.
Okay. What are some of the people you've trained? Like, what are the top? How much are they making?
Well, the people I got right now between 4 and 500. That used to be 60 to 80.
What are they doing now that is different from what they were doing then? What are some of the big like ahas, big differences?
They've been blessed by Big Sugar.
So in other words, work with Rob Gill.
Work with Rob Gill. You'll get a guaranteed 50 appointments, and I'll teach you how to go through this, and then you could teach 7 other people to do the same thing. If in fact you go from 50 to 350 leads a month, it's not.
Okay.
You know, to be here, you have to work Saturdays and Sundays, and I don't mean physically, but I mean like get on the phone. Leads are coming in on Saturday night at 8:00. Make sure you shoot them a text. Like don't, Nick, you know this. If a lead comes in, don't wait 3 days to text them.
No, yeah.
Right? Then don't be in my rotation if you can't do that.
Yeah, they say if you contact a lead within 4 minutes, I believe the close rate goes up around 70%.
There you go. You heard it from Nick Sales, everybody.
Yeah.
And what we had to do is get an AI component for that because sometimes leads come in the middle of the night. So
Yeah,
I
you
want to
can't
make
take-
sure AI is shooting a text and an email at least 7 times within the first 7 hours.
So gold. Like if there's one way the sales industry takes advantage of AI, that is the first and foremost.
Nick Sales.
That is a
everybody.
solid nugget.
There he is.
I love it, Rob.
He's live
Money.
from Utah. Don't get it twisted.
Okay, so you're preaching on volume and input on leads. I am a big advocate on that, Rob. I don't credit myself as one of the best salesmen, but my stats show that I am. But I don't believe I am because I know how hard I work. And what I've realized is because of volume and because of input, it's almost you're winning no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't get to sell, you're learning how to get better.
That's right.
And the other thing I'm very passionate about that aligns with volume, Rob, is not trying to sell everybody. And that's been a big secret for me to maintain my passion, because if people can't like change my passion, my energy about it, I just sell like hotcakes, right?
Yep.
And so I preserve that. And so the way I preserve that is I feel like a lot of salespeople get desperate, like you mentioned, commission breath, and pitch people that aren't interested, that waste their time. And the call ends, and they're asking for the sale, and they get pissed off. And that energy, I don't care how good you are at selling, it affects your day big time.
No question.
And it's hard to move away from that. So I love that you're preaching about leads and volume of leads. So for people who don't have Rob Gill pumping out all these leads for them, right?
If they're in the business, if they're watching, they can call me.
Okay.
Because
And
we
Rob's,
will hire. Listen, I haven't recruited anybody. They've recruited me to recruit them. But if people are looking for a job with me, feel free to call me.
Yeah.
It's full commission, but feel
love
free to
it.
call me.
I love it, Rob. Well, I've got a lot of followers on social that are in door-to-door. So if you hate door-to-door and you don't want to do solar or pest something, reach out to Rob. Rob's Instagram is robgill_epic.
Yeah.
So, no, outside of that, what advice do you have, Rob, for guys to get leads? In today's world, like in solar, door-to-door it's not phasing out completely, but it is trending towards more virtual sales. And in your space,
Yeah.
you guys are used to selling over the phone and virtual.
Yeah, can I let me play with this?
Yeah.
Because in my
Interject.
business, they call it belly to belly. The 60s, 70s, 80s was insurance was face to face, right? I never sold insurance face to face unless someone came to my office. But when you go back to 2009 and 10, I was doing go to meetings with a farmer in Nebraska, a business owner in California, and a face to face in New Jersey, and a business owner in Tennessee. So for anyone in solar, I'm assuming virtual, there has to be a way. If you want to call a neighborhood in Tennessee, there has to be a way of doing that. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you're in that business, triple down on it. Because if
The
you
cold
get
calling,
to 7 different neighborhoods in different states, you're going to collapse time, turn decades into days, build a system around it. And people have no problem doing Zooms now. And your product, from what I understand, I don't know much about it, but not only do you get the tax benefits, but also the way it works out, it's, not only for the client it's good, but for the person selling it is very lucrative as well. So why not build a
It is.
team around that?
It's a win-win. Yep. That's a beautiful thing about it. I love that, Rob. Yeah, I see. So yeah, a lot of stuff is going virtual. Phone sales work. I see a lot of people going back. What's your take on video versus phone? Because in our industry, they both work, and some people aren't willing to get on video calls. What do you do in those situations? Like
Are you talking about the agent now or the person on the other side?
the agent.
Well, the agent needs to get out of his own way. The agent
How
needs
so?
to grow up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
In what?
Look
in
at
what
my
way?
case. If I'm when I first started doing videos, I was 285.
So you've,
Like-
you've leaned out.
Big country. I'm 255, right? So there's a ways
Yeah.
to go, but you can't be embarrassed. One of the things that I think is powerful is a text video. I like to do text videos to anyone I'm doing business with, right? So it's a way to communicate. If you're in the solar space and you can't do a Zoom call with your face on it, then and if you refuse to, go to a therapist or just don't try and just keep knocking on doors.
As far as I think it's usually the client. Sorry, if the client is, hey, I don't do video or you don't have a camera, what do you do? Do you just do it on the phone?
Well, okay, so that's a different story. So how often is it that someone doesn't have a camera on their computer?
From my experience, it's like anywhere from 25 to 50%.
That much, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or
so-
or they're too busy or they don't want it. They have some excuse.
So what I would do, and being good in sales, I would break that down at some point, right? So maybe you can't do it on the first call. Maybe it may take call one or two, but at some point, I'm sure that they have a camera on their computer, and you'll be able to have that conversation, or you'll know sooner than later not to waste your time, because obviously the sales are going to be that much harder if there's not a video, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't really come across people that don't have some sort of video camera. If everyone has an iPhone, there's a video camera, right?
Yeah,
Nick?
it's true.
So
That's
I
true.
think it's really about breaking down and building. Now, here's the other question. Can you build rapport with somebody? Think of Sean Callaghy, right? So let's say you identify a person you want to do business with in the first call. They don't want to be on camera, but it's a get-to-know-you call. If you do a good job on that call, I'm pretty sure you can get to the next call and share a video.
Yep. I like that.
And as
So
you
is
know,
it-
the rapport is 5 questions. It's all about the person. And where you've been, where you're now, where you're going, what are your successes, what are your challenges, and oh, by the way, if we could solve your challenge with this product, would you be willing to listen or take another call with us? And
I love
that's-
that.
And that second call may sound like, hey, with all due respect, Nick, and this is out of just integrity, would you mind if you put the camera on your cell phone and we have the meeting virtual where we could share each other's energy and get into what has to get into? I mean, if they say no after you build rapport, then you put them in a 6-month list and call them back in 6 months.
Yeah. I love that, Rob. Okay, Rob, let me transition into closing. So, I am very anti hard closing, very anti always be closing. I feel like the true model of salesmanship is service before selling, right? My mantra is stop selling, start serving. And when you start thinking of the prospect, their situation, just like a doctor diagnoses somebody, they're asking questions. They're not necessarily telling you what to do. And so I believe if you teach the right things through the right communication, right questions, people can direct themselves and close themselves on a deal. What's your take on that? And what do you think about always be closing? Do you agree with that? Do you think you have guys like Andy Elliott, Brad Lee that are Grant Cardone, close, 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 stop being a pussy, close, close, close. What do you think about that?
Listen, I could have fun with those guys. I could probably hang out with them somewhere, but my mindset isn't always be closing. And I'm going to work with Sean on this. The word close, just the energy, I don't like it myself. I do love each meeting having a purpose to set up the next meeting. You may call that a formation agreement or a transition to the next stage of the conversation. Like you, Nick, I feel if you do it in our space, if we do a great job, call 1 through 6. In the end, it's not a close. It really comes down to a negotiation on what they want to do next.
I love that.
So for me, it's pretty easy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with any of that. I'm not always be closing kind of guy. When I was opening new accounts on Wall Street, I did, and it wasn't a fun life. I made good money. People lost money because the market was going up and down, so that wasn't fun. And I kind of if me and Brad Lee sat next to each other, Brad, and we each had to make $400, I'd eat you up. Wouldn't even be close. I wouldn't even. I could go right in right now and go right through my 7-minute presentation, and you wouldn't eat. Same thing with the other guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if we each dialed the phone 400 times a day for a week, I'd beat the both of them and whoever else.
Where do you think you'd beat him? Where do you think you'd beat him on that?
I would close. I'd have more people say yes to me than them and write a check.
What do you think would be your difference, like on how would you beat them on volume? Would you beat them on like your presentation? On
I would out dial them. And the presentation I already have down. It's a 7-minute present that's devastating. It's tied to Cialdini's six tools of influence. I'll put it on anybody. And, my point is I can close. And even that guy in the movie, what's his name?
Jordan Belfort?
Yeah, Jordan Belfort. Just so you know, I want to be clear about this. If I opened a stock account and the investment was $5,000, we would make $150 because it was a proper stock. They would do the same thing, except the $5,000 would go right in their pocket.
Crazy.
So I'll put me on Jordan Belfort too. I'm serious. Like I'm telling you right now, date of birth, social security number, driver's license, all within 7 minutes on $400 a day. I will put me on anybody in a 1-week contest.
I love that, Rob.
All things being equal, please get it out there.
Yeah, I love that. So breaking down, you mentioned these 6 steps of influence.
Commitment and consistency, reciprocity, scarcity, liking, social proof, and authority.
You're referring to Robert Cialdini?
Yes.
Okay. What was like applying that to your business and dumbing this down for our audience? A couple of those steps.
Well,
yeah.
All right. So that was for when I was opening new accounts, right? So if the call sounded something like, "Hey, Nick, this is Rob Gill. I'll be real brief with respect for your time. It's not a sales call. Can you grab a pen real quick? I want to tell you about the stock that we're buying today. It's currently trading at $10 a share. We think it's going to go to 20 in the next 30 to 60 days. I'll be real brief with respect for your time." And then you'll say, that would be the initial intro. That is what we call a hard sell. If you look at Sean, which is, you got not only the 4 steps of influence, right? But part of that is the tools of influence, which we just talked about, smaller QVC. And what smaller stands for is scarcity, right? I don't know if you've ever remember Sean's stuff, but you have scarcity. You have, what's that? I'm sorry, match and mirroring. You have love everybody, level 5 listening, energetic transportation, reciprocity. Q would be the questions. Validate would be the V, and the C would be commitment and consistency. So,
I love it.
So all of that when you're on the business, that's training your employees, creating ecosystems. When you're in the business, that's you and I having a conversation. If I'm going to say, "Hey, Nick, listen, I'm not here to sell you insurance policy. What I want to talk about is how this insurance can complement everything else you're doing, where you, in fact, can get multiple use of each and every dollar." That's the money train, by the way. Where you can get multiple use of each and every dollar through the integration and coordination of your assets, especially if I show you the difference between a traditional whole life where the insurance agent makes all the commission versus an overfunded whole life where the insurance agent, in our scenario, makes about 20% of that number. And now that allows you in year 1 to use your money to either fund your real estate investments, grow your other businesses, and or your own Facebook ad program where you can monetize on the backside. Do you have time on Tuesday for me to have a deeper conversation with you? You'll say yes, right?
Yep.
So that's not a hard close. That's a transition to a formation.
It is a transition. It's a natural transition. They're ready for it. Yeah.
Yep.
I like it. How do you leverage can you think of any examples of how you leverage the law of reciprocity in your sales negotiations or pitch?
That's great. So once you start trying to take hey, if I do this, they're going to do that, you've already lost, right? And I've been there. Mm-hmm. But if you are genuinely, as you said, providing value first, like just straight up, it's amazing how the universe conspires. In your favor, you don't have to think like that. So if you give without any expectation except appreciation and keep giving. Keep giving, even in the Crone world, I gave for a year before we started seeing stuff. You know what I mean? Like I gave to Sean my time for a year and a half before things started moving. So I think that it's really about reciprocity comes down to giving because you want to make the world a better place. Like this podcast right now, whatever this is, I want to be able to help an agent on shifting their limiting belief that they can only make so much and they can only do so many appointments. I could show them something different and disrupt that status quo that they're in right now because I have a secret that they don't have. But once they have it, it's easy.
Rob, it's fascinating. This applies to salespeople and entrepreneurs like thick and through. I've had lower level people on the podcast and much higher level people. And there's a very common theme that the lower level people are afraid to share their secrets. They have a scarcity mindset, and it's because they don't understand the law of reciprocity, where if you just give, and share and teach and give all your secrets, people they feel entitled to come check you out.
No question.
You win authority, which is another factor of influence. And it's just a game changer.
Ali Starr said it best, you may know my ingredients, but you still don't know how to make my sauce.
Dude, I love these.
Right?
Do you coin that, Rob Gill?
No, Ali Starr. She said that I had a podcast earlier today. She said that to me. I was like, do you share your information? She says, everyone could copy me. They still don't have my sauce.
I love it.
I'm like, all right, so my new name is Hot Sauce. Right? You can just call me Hot Sauce.
Dude, I love you. You're a fireball, man. When you train people, salespeople specifically, okay, or when your people train salespeople, Rob, or you haven't watched training, like what % of the training would you say is teaching them technical skills or wording or the pitch? And what % is training them on product knowledge?
All right, so Nick, it's mindset first, right?
I love it.
So there's a guy that recruited me to recruit him. His name is Hassan. I love this dude. He's from California, and he spent the week with us. And he's already done 4 different policies in about 6 weeks. He's really good. And he kind of has I-know-itis a little bit, so he came in and we shifted his thinking a little bit. But what I look for is guys or gals, whether it's Hassan or Alexa, neither one of them is scared to call somebody, right? But to your point, once the mind is right, language is everything, right? Language is everything. So when I first started working with Alexa, this was last December, she had been trained by somebody else, and I saw her off the phone, and I saw how she worked rooms and made connective relationships, but I heard her on the phone one day, and I was like, holy shit, this has been happening in my life. I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, the language was so suboptimal, not her fault, it's what she was taught. And same thing with Sasan. It's like he thought he knew everything, and it's like, okay, let's create a digital course or a digital training model of me even live on the phone with people, so guys and gals could take notes on what it looks like. So we've already started to build that out. And it really comes down to me being able to listen. But once I'm going to start paying attention, I need to know that you could do whatever it takes within integrity, right, and reason, that you want to be part of this. If you have excuse-itis and can't even show up, then I'm not going to waste my time. But if you're willing to do whatever it takes, I will meet you and help you go to a whole nother level instantaneously.
Yeah, I found the same thing. And so that kind of leads me to another point, Rob, where, I preach that salespeople are not trained, from my years training hundreds, if not thousands of sales reps, individually and on group settings. They're not trained, they're found, the best ones.
I agree, brother. Alexa, by the way, who's over to my left, just so you know, she used to sell policies out of the subway, because in Primerica, she exhausted her natural market, but didn't want to give up. She wanted to stick to it. Didn't have good training, in my opinion, but she used to sell policies in the subway. Like, I mean, think about that. That's pretty incredible. So when I heard that story last October, I was like, all right, this is
crazy.
Not normal. How do let me help this person? And to your point before, she would go to her family and friends relentlessly, where I won't sell policies to anybody I know unless they really ask me. And she kept going back to them because that's all she had. And she became the person that was fun, that now became the person that was a life insurance salesperson. And one of the things I said to her early and often, don't try and sell policies to anybody you know. Don't even do it. Unless, of course, they press you. And then what you want to do is say, listen, if you want me to go through this process, I need to know that you really want to do this. I don't want to go through 2 months and then you decide that this isn't for you. Right? Right? That's we call that debugging the sale. For example, if I'm going to sit down with you, Nick, are you married, by the way?
Divorced, dating.
Okay, so let's go back to you being married with 2 kids. I'm just going to make that up, right?
Yeah.
And if I say, Nick, listen, I can't wait to meet you next Tuesday, is your wife going to be on the call? Say no.
No, she's not.
So let me ask you this. After 60 days, when we're getting to the yes or the no, are you going to tell me you have to talk to your wife? Right?
Yeah.
I do videos about debugging the sale. So my point is, if you're going to say you got to talk to your wife, let's get her on now. But now watch this. This is commitment and consistency. If you tell me right here and right now that you make all the decisions, you're the man, then in 60 days you can't say it. It's going to be in your subconscious. You just can't say it. So I'll even say, does your accountant need to be on the call or your fiduciary? Who needs to be on the call? Let's make
You're
sure they're
qualifying the buyer. You're making sure you're talking to the decision maker.
100%. And by the way, you could be talking to the decision maker, but what I'm really doing is taking away the objections when they're feeling. Yeah.
Yep, their excuse. Yep, they're out.
100%.
I love that, Rob.
And I only do that, by the way, when I send something I don't like. I don't do it all the time. But
Okay.
if something tells me, nah, this guy, you know what I mean? Like, let's just see what he has to say now. So I'll pull that out every once in a while.
So Rob, I know you're your colleague Alexa. You love her. You work with her closely. She's just crushed it with you. I love that story of her selling, family and people in the subway. I always say
interviewed her one time, man. I'm telling you, it's incredible.
I'd love to. I always say sell to the degree that you are sold.
That's right.
And I think one of the best indicators of that is, do you talk to your friends and your family if they have the option to buy from you and with you? Do you talk to them about it?
Yeah, listen, so let's say you're my buddy, right, from college. We grew up together, and, I'd be like, Nick, listen, don't waste my fucking time, bro. Do you really want to do this? Or if you're going to tell me you want to put money into an IRA, you're just putting your money in jail. And if you want to do it, I'm going to bring in other people to help along the way. Is this what you want to do? You know what I mean?
That,
that's the conversation.
I love that. It's like, you're not, hey, I'm not going to put the pressure on you. I'm not going to make this awkward like an MLM pitch,
No.
But I had this conversation with my dad, selling solar. He didn't have solar, and they got a nice roof, nice home. And one day I'm like, dude, I just got to talk to him. But the funny thing is, my dad bought solar from me the month that I sold 30 deals and made $250,000.
You know why?
I was just on fire.
Because you were on fire. That's the point. There was no commission breath. You weren't desperate.
There's none.
Yeah,
Zero.
you didn't even
Zero.
care.
Yeah. And Rob, the more you lean out, right, the more your prospect leans in.
That's right.
Think of that like if you're dating somebody, like think back to the high school days, Rob, where you find the hot girl,
Yep.
and
They found
like
me.
she plays hard to get with everybody,
Yep.
right? And that almost makes you want her more.
Yes. Yes.
It's that same psychology where if you find success in selling financially, and then it starts compounding, you get that momentum where you're not having commission breath, you're not having to push things on people.
You're right.
And they lean into you,
You're right, Nick.
And they want to buy from you.
And by the way, when that happens? When you're living in abundance, you have 2,000 leads coming a month.
I love that.
Right? Think about it. Like you can't fake that. You can try and fake it, but you better start living it, right? Because if you fake it and then they sense it, then they call you bluff, then all your fears about being a failure come right to the top of your head. Yep. And all of a sudden you start limping.
I love that you mentioned, that ties into mindset. Like if I ask you first thing on like training, and you're like mindset. Yep. And most of my sales training with Excel, Rob, is focused on mindset, mentality, laws of persistence, laws of momentum,
Love it.
Rejection, and dealing with all that. How,
the gift
to
of
some
rejection.
extent, these are trainable skills. And that's why we say they're, the best salespeople are not trained, they're found. Yep. But to some extent, these skills are trained. What's your method for training these, the skills of mindset?
Wow. Okay, so mindset, I think for me, starts with, priming in the morning, the visualization of incantations that I'm going to say, but then visualizing the feeling of that outcome.
Yep.
Asking myself empowering questions, especially when I'm struggling. I think mindset also means serving and helping other people, not the other way around.
I love that.
I think if you could do those intangibles, you're putting yourself on a different shift and you're putting yourself in the right space.
Well, Rob, I have a Christian background, and so I've always had this serve before selling mindset, and it's helped me. And I've realized, I don't know if you have noticed this, a lot of salespeople lack that service mindset.
Yeah.
They're thinking about making money, which it's a job, right?
Yep.
You have to some extent.
Yep.
Do you sense that's a problem, the passion and like just getting out of your own self and thinking about your prospect? Do you think salespeople struggle?
You know what? I think it comes down to who your first trainer is, right? Remember I talked about basketball, who I was around early on. Even in the insurance business, I happen to be trained by one of the best producers in history. That was my first step into the insurance space. So I never knew average, right? My first trainer on Wall Street that taught me $400 a day, he was a beautiful savage, right? Like there was no nonsense. I never responded to fluffiness. And my ears have always been open. I've always known who is a very good trainer or not. And I think no matter who you are, I think of Alexa, she did not have good training early, right? She did not have that gift. But she's an example. I'm going to use her because she's here. She's an example of someone that truly wanted to create financial independence for her family tree, straight up. Wealth for her family, right? If you think about her, may he rest in peace. Her dad passed away during COVID, right? Seemingly out of nowhere within 3 weeks. About 6 months before that, though, she's insurance licensed, has a $250,000 death benefit, maybe $500,000, and her sales manager convinces her to replace the policy for a $50,000 death benefit. First of all, that's a lawsuit. Number one, didn't happen. Number two, that's like malpractice at the highest level. You never replace something for less, right? And you think of who your trainer is early, and I think that for any agent, if you had terrible training early, okay. But if you eventually get good training, you better hold on tight and never let go. Because if you hold on tight and never let go, good things will happen.
Yeah, I love that. I'm excited to talk to you more about Alexa another time. We'll have to interview her. And
her story's way better than mine.
Dude, I love it.
I mean, she didn't get shot at, but she could have. I mean, being in the subway and.
We'll have to have her on. So, dude, this made me think about. I was just at Funnel Hacking Live.
I was going to go to that.
What's that?
We were going to go to that.
Dude.
I actually got my thing. I got my. I got a picture. With
you got it? You got the 2 Comma Club?
I do.
Let's go.
I do.
Let's go, baby. You got to put that on the wall.
I don't even know where it is right now. It's somewhere in this office. No one's getting up to get it. No one's going out of their way to get it, so don't worry about it.
Let's go. I love it. But, dude, Eric Thomas was there, and he was talking. Like, I had just listened to him here in Salt Lake at the Limitless Arena. And then, literally a few days later, he's speaking at the event, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to, hype up motivation. But dude, he was dropping bombs.
He's the best.
And it's kind of this along the lines of this theme of what we're talking about with like what drives great people, whether it's a salesperson or entrepreneur. And everyone's heard Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, the black motivational speaker.
I love him.
Eating out of trash cans. He had no dad, he had no mama. Grew up in Detroit, sleeping on the streets. He always talks about like, how bad do you want it? His theme is, do you want it as bad as you want to breathe? But he went in deeper on this, and I loved it. He said, there's 3 tiers to how bad you want it. You kind of want it, you really want it, or you want it as bad as you want to breathe. Now, but the one where you want it as bad as you want to breathe, he said, the thing motivating those people is not themselves. It's a why that is bigger than them.
That's right.
It's about others.
That's right.
And when you have something that big that's motivating you, you're not afraid of the rejection. You're not afraid of the failure. You keep going. You have that persistence. And so I think this is part of the reason great people are not trained and they're found is because you can't train that. You can't train pain. Pain is one of the greatest things that can be leveraged for success because it gives you purpose,
Yep. I agree. You can create a system for people that have different pain tolerances. So that would be the difference between someone making 200 and $1 million from a sales context. But and that if you got 2,000-3,000 leads, you could create that, right? That scale. You can't create the Eric Thomases or the Nick Sales, but along the way you can get these little nickels and dimes and singles and doubles, right?
Right.
But it's the Eric Thomas that wants to change Detroit, right? Or it's the Nick Sales that, whatever your story is on why you're looking to serve and contribute, it's all tied to how you want to make the world a better place.
I love that, Rob. I love it. Yeah, for a big passion for me, and I think you could probably relate to this, and I've talked to you about this before in person, is the salespeople selling things they're not sold on, right?
Yep.
Huge problem. People feeling like they have to hard close everybody, in hard pressure, and it's creating this sales stigma. And the other thing too, Jim Rohn obviously mentored Tony Robbins.
Yep.
He said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
That's right. Constantly improve.
He says, you work hard on your job, you make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you make a fortune.
I agree.
And he said it specifically to salespeople too. And I don't see a lot of that in our industry. Like in sales in general, people don't work on themselves. I think this is part of the reason Andy Elliott has blown up is because he's drawn a lot of attention. Like, dude, like focus on you first, then other people.
Yeah.
Fill your own cup because if you want to sell, you're pouring from a cup. And if your cup's empty, what the hell are you selling?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So,
I agree 100%.
What's your take on that? Like filling up your cup, routines, personal development, to help build character to become a better salesperson?
I don't think there's ever a graduation. I think you probably, there's progression. I think you always got to be
pursuit.
learning. Yep, the pursuit.
Yep.
You always need a top five. You could always replace and get a new top five. If you have, if you make $2 million, those are one set of problems. If you make $5 million, it's another set. If you make $10 million, it's another set. And the better you are at overcoming whatever those challenges are, which usually comes down to contribution, growth, and being able to work with other people, ties back into constantly learning. And I think when people say they don't like salespeople, all day long they're being sold, right? Whether it's if they're trying to sell a girl or a guy to go on a date, if they're trying to sell their kid on, what movie to go see. Everything is a sale. Everything is a negotiation. Everywhere we go, we're being sold something. There's no two ways about it. So don't be confused that it doesn't exist because it's real. You might as well get good at it. And the way you get good at it is by giving, not taking.
I love that. That's gold, man. That's gold. It's that whole mindset that salespeople just got to take. They got to take. They got to make a commission, right? But really, the best salespeople are the ones who don't focus on. They offer. They just give, and they get more because they give more.
Yep. And you can't even calculate that. There's no real math behind that, by the way.
Yeah.
You could have an ROI on investment, but I'm talking about overall, like the overall.
I love about that principle is that it applies very strongly to marketing as well. You see Alex Hormozy, he preaches this. I just interviewed one of his, someone that helped him with his social media. And Hormozy's whole theme, his mantra is just give until they come. Right?
There you go.
There it is. There she blows. The 2 Comma Club. Dude, you got to get the 2 Comma Club X now. When's that coming on?
Whatever that is, I'll get it.
Whatever that is. That's the 10 million.
I'm going to get it. Don't worry about it. It's only a matter of time.
I love it, dude. I love it, Rob.
Yeah.
You have to keep me posted on the journey.
But Nick, I appreciate this time, brother.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. Thanks for coming on the show.
I want to spend more time with you, dude. I think that you're what you stand for is so amazing, and I love to. And Alexa, please, and tell these guys I want to interview him on our side because your story is an amazing story, and I love for my community to be able to hear it.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and for our audience, again, if you want to check out Rob, his Instagram is robgill_epic.
Yep.
Gill with two L's. Okay.
Double L. Yeah.
Rob, anything else you want to tell the audience?
Listen, I think that it comes down to mindset first, right? And how do you get to a good mind? Because whenever I would say mindset, well, how do you do a good mindset? You got to ask yourself different questions. You got to, whatever you're doing now, good, bad, or indifferent, is whatever you are today is a combination of your thoughts over the last 5 and 10 years. Change your thinking through different questions that are empowering. You'll change your future, and you could create more predictability. No doubt about it.
I love that. I think our life is a reflection of the questions we ask.
Boom.
And that is a sales rep's income is determined on the questions they ask.
That's right. No doubt about it.
I love it, Rob. That's gold.
Thanks,
Thank
brother.
you so much, man.
Thank you, man.
It's a pleasure having you on.